Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the live stream here on the channel. Let's see what we have in the chat so far. We have Caleb, we have Pez, we have Timmer, Legacy, and Ben, as well as Samuel Wilkinson and Haley. Glad to see you guys in the live stream, as well as everybody else who's watching, may not be chatting. Glad to see you in here as well. And yeah, let's go right ahead and dive right on into this. Not really a lot to talk about, to be honest with you. There's not a whole lot going on across the United States, and not a whole lot in the tropics. There is some, of course, but not a whole lot. So let's go ahead and just switch on over here. And yeah, this is really what we have out here in the tropics. I mean, I believe, yeah, there's nothing in the EPAC. So this is really about it in terms of what's happening right now with weather. I mean, it's really just this AOI that we've been dealing with for the last week or so, and as well as this AOI out here in the southwestern Caribbean. So just two areas that we are monitoring for the potential of tropical development. This one still has an opportunity to become a tropical storm. Recon, I believe, is going to be flying into this it's sometime tomorrow, I believe. If I looked at their schedule correctly, it's either sometime tomorrow or sometime Friday, but I want to say it's tomorrow because it is taking on a little bit of a better characteristics to where it just might be a tropical depression now. It's not able to sustain much, but it's been able to keep some blobs of convection. You can see some blobs disappear, but every time a blob disappears, we end up seeing a new blob of convection. So it just might be tropical depression status right now. It's still struggling a lot. It's definitely not a tropical storm, but this could potentially be a tropical depression at the moment. It doesn't look all that impressive, but if we pause the frame here, you could definitely see we have some better lower level clouds in here. We definitely have a big plume of convection, and I believe your center is located just to the southeast of that plume of convection, somewhere around this area where my cursor is, I believe, is where that center is. So definitely not the most organized storm by any means, but could be a tropical depression. I mean, you can see here, if we look, they say a tropical depression could form as a system moves near the Leeward Islands and the U.S. Virgin Islands late this week. So I agree with that as well. But it might happen a little bit sooner. I don't really think we're going to be able to get to a tropical storm with this system. I feel like it's going to be a borderline tropical storm if we are able to see a tropical storm out of it. All of our model runs have backed out. Let me go over here. I know I'm going a little all over the place, but here's your intensity guidance. This is your 18Z, so I actually didn't see this. Your HWRF is back on board with a hurricane happening. And your ships also up to a category 2 here. which is interesting because I believe the ship model was down to a Cat 1 and the H-Morph was down to a tropical storm, not even a tropical storm earlier today. So I do think that's a little uptrend that's happened there. But you can see most of our models are aiming this towards an upper tropical depression to a potentially as high as a mid-tier tropical storm. We do have 2 outliers. Actually, it looks like 3 outliers that are going to take this into hurricane status. One of those is the ship model that takes it up to category 2. So, yeah, notice we don't have any models going all the way up to category 4 or 5 strength like we did before. That was the H-Morph model that did that. We counted that as an outlier. Good thing we did because, like I said, it's downtrended all the way to a category 1 now. And in terms of the track, we're still quite confident on this thing progressing westward. We have gotten rid of some uncertainty. It looks like the majority of our models are going to take this closer to Jamaica into the Western Caribbean as opposed to taking that sharp north turn that the European model run had earlier this week. So I don't think we're going to see much out of it as it enters the Western Caribbean, but I could be very, very wrong. The Western Caribbean's obviously favorable, so if it can keep like a centralized low pressure all the way through the land interaction it may have with Haiti, Cuba, and Jamaica, maybe we could see something spin up if it keeps that low pressure, but I highly doubt it. At the moment, I'm monitoring, most likely the area that I'm monitoring the most is going to be just north of the Dominican Republic, because that's when this thing has an opportunity, not saying it will happen, but it may have an opportunity to become a tropical storm just briefly and then impact or pass just north of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So that's the area that I'm going to be watching the most over the next 5-ish days or so, as this tropical system makes its way from this general X point all the way up towards the Dominican Republic and Haiti over the next 3 to 5 days or so. The NHC has dropped probabilities on this for the next 7 days. It's down to a 40% chance. The next 48 hours, it is now up to, actually, a 30% chance for development. This AOI here, I believe, is relatively the same since we last talked. It's still at a 2020, so not really going to see and not really expecting much development out of that system in the Southwest Caribbean. But of course, regardless of if it develops, we're going to be seeing some heavy rainfall and some locally flash flooding conditions out there in the Yucatan Peninsula, Central America, southeastern Mexico, that vicinity there. And that's about it for your tropics. I mean, we just have those 2 areas. This is, of course, your main area to watch. We're keeping an eye on this one, but I highly doubt it's going to do anything. And yeah, let me bring you guys over to a site we don't look at too often, it feels like, during hurricane season, unless we have a threat for the U.S. It's the SPC. We still check this daily on our live streams, but we've spent a lot more time on the NHC than the National Weather Service. I haven't showed you guys these outlooks in a little while. Here's your day 3 outlook. We have a 5% chance for severe weather every 25 miles of given point out there in eastern New Mexico, western Texas, the western panhandle, Oklahoma, southern Colorado. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't think it's going to be much of a big deal out there. Probably mainly just, hail maybe? Hail and wind. Let me just briefly go through this. Yeah, so probably not going to be that big of a risk for severe weather. Hail may be needed in outlook. So it looks like they might. Yeah, it looks like they may have it for wind at the moment, primarily for wind and hail. Yeah, there you go. Isolated small hail and wind gust. So that risk is primarily for wind and hail. And then day 4, potential's too low. Day 5, potential. Day 6, potential. Day 7, potential's too low. Day 8, potential's too low. So everything is potential too low, which if you're new to severe weather, perhaps you haven't tracked us or watched us, I should say, through severe weather season. Potential too low is a good sign. What we don't want to see is the predictability is too low, because if the predictability is too low, then that means severe weather is going to be possible in the United States. It's just a bit uncertain on exactly where. And then, of course, what really raises everybody's eyebrows, per se, is if we see a 15% or a 30% outlook from the SPC. But the first step would be seeing a predictability is too low, is what it's called. They name it predictability too low. And if we see that, then that means, we're going to start watching the model runs closely, start figuring out where they're talking about for severe weather potential. And then the next step would be seeing if they highlight that 15%, which if we go down here, you can see they do say, the potential for a cutoff with some westerlies. Severe weather is going to be likely, but it should remain, or rather, it's likely to remain limited. So we could see severe weather, but it's likely to remain very limited and not widespread whatsoever. So just to kind of put that in perspective, let me show you guys this over here, just so I can flip y'all on over to that. See if that works. Okay, good. I made a scene for our weather models because I was smart. Told you guys I was going to do that. So guess what I did? I did it. So in terms of what they're talking about here for, geez, I don't even know what day 3 is. Today is what, Wednesday. Okay, so we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So day 3 would actually be Friday here. And yeah, you can see very small potential for severe weather, very tiny corridor, generally in just eastern New Mexico as we go into Friday night. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's very regional. It's a very small area. But as we go into Sunday, I am keeping an eye on Sunday, which is October 20th, and maybe Monday the 21st as well. But more of what I'm watching is October 20th, which is Sunday, for the potential of severe weather in this general area here. Doesn't look significant, doesn't look like anything notable, but we could have the potential for a decent severe weather threat. We're definitely not talking about the severe threats we see in May and April, but just a system worth watching severe weather threat out here in Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, but it will not be that big of a severe weather threat because of instability. Now, what we have seen over the last few model runs is a lot of variability between these instability factors here, the instability values, I should say. I mean, our 18Z barely has much instability. Our 12Z has good instability in southeast New Mexico. 06Z, I mean, it just keeps flipping between good instability and okay instability. Not really much consistency between our model runs here on the GFS. So this is another product I like to use. This is the mean supercell composite from the GFS. You might remember this from earlier this year. This is what I like to use to determine where severe weather may be the best opportunity to occur. May have the best opportunity to occur. And this is going to be for Sunday night. And you can see this is for supercell composites, so where tornado ingredients potentially could be a little bit higher than, or could be, favorable for tornadoes. In this case, we look for yellow and orange, and we only have green to gray. If I go really far out, I highly doubt we'll see any yellow or orange. Yeah, we don't see any yellow or orange, and that's what we look for on the GFS ensembles. Basically, it's 20 members worth of data that's compiled into one product. It averages it out, and then it gives you this map. So it makes it really, really simple to see where severe weather could be, and if it's going to be anything notable. Another product we use is a probability of 1,000 instability here. And typically, 1,000 instability, that's when thunderstorms can really get going. In the second season, there is definitely a better chance that we see storms fire with like 500 instability, but 1,000 instability is typically what you need for those storms to really get going. And in this case, probability for 1,000 instability on, let's go back to Sunday. Let's go back to Sunday here. Sunday, not high at all. I mean, you have just about a 10% chance for 1,000 instability out there Sunday, and that's what's going to keep your severe weather threat lower. As we go into Monday, it increases that threat just a little bit for higher end instability, but another thing you have to take into account is the capping. If we go back to your GFS, there's capping in place. So there's a lot of different products we look at to determine if severe weather is going to end up being an issue or if it's going to end up just, storms not even firing. So Doesn't look like anything notable. You know, if we had a notable severe weather threat on the horizon, we'd see a whole area of like, for instability at least, we'd see a lot of blue, and we probably would see some green, maybe even some yellow in here for instability. Our supercell composite would be higher, and another thing, of course, is wind shear, which troughs can bring wind shear. We do have a trough ejection, but if we look closer to your 0 to 3 kilometer wind shear, it's not that high either. I mean, at the best, we have 150, or actually 180 helicity out there, which if we had other ingredients, that could cause a small tornado threat. But like I said, we have capping, so it's just not a good setup for severe weather as we go into Sunday. And also remember that this is just a model run, so it's going to change. But it's something that I do. I look at this daily to see how much it changes. I've been looking at this daily for, geez, I can't even tell you how long. I mean, I look at the GFS probably every single day. And on the newer GFS model run, it did actually, it might have uptrended just a little bit on maybe wind shear, like right in this area. Yeah, almost 200 helicity. The reason how I knew that is because if we look at the 12Z, see your trough, it kind of looks more, well, let me pull this back to see exactly how much it is, but it looks more from north to south, and that transition happens a little bit late to the point where it's a negative trough, you know, overnight. If we go to your 18Z GFS, it looks more like a negative trough happens Sunday evening. So let me check moisture. Ooh, yeah. Didn't even think to check moisture. Right off the bat, that is not really favorable for severe weather. Now, we can see severe weather events with 55 to 60 degree dew points, but in order for us to see, like, yeah, some of the more notable severe threats we've seen, we typically look for 60 plus dew points. Let me just take a sounding out there. I want to take a sounding, like, this is very nitpicked, of course, but I want to take a sounding right here at 5 p.m. Sunday afternoon. It's 5 p.m. Eastern, of course. This is for Sunday, October 20th. Okay. Actually not half bad. Definitely not a tornado setup, that's for sure. But in terms of the sounding as a whole, it's not that rough. I mean, there you go. Like I was talking about, wind shear issue. Not really much turning with height. You know, you don't have a lot of veering in here. Not the best sounding, but it's not that bad. You know, that's probably going to warrant, you know, keeping an eye on it. We'll see what the SPC thinks on day 3. I want to read this. Latest medium range guidance is not much different from prior runs. A fairly significant lower level mid troposphere cyclone may remain centered over the Four Corners area, cut off from westerlies, beginning to slowly accelerate off to the east on Sunday. Let's see. Lower level, lower level moisture is what they're talking about being a major factor in this. The limit of lower level moisture, and you can see. I mean, of course, they're going to be right. 57 degree dew points. That's not gonna cut it. That's not going to cut it, especially if you have other limiting factors like, you know, wind shear, potential for capping. You don't have a lot of dew points, not high dew points, I should say. So that's probably why they haven't introduced really any threat for severe weather out there, and why they have this potential is too low. So we could still see a marginal risk. In order for, they don't highlight marginal risks on this particular outlook from day 4 through 8. So we could very easily see a marginal risk somewhere out here for the potential of, I don't know, guessing, isolated damaging winds, maybe small hail, kind of like what they have for day 3, which I do want to take a sounding for day 3 as well, which is wait a second. I think I threw off my days here. So that's day 1, that's day 2, day 3. Day 4. So day 4 would be Saturday. Day 5 would be Sunday. So yeah, I did actually get that right. Never mind. I did indeed get that right. Let me go ahead and, geez, I mean, that's just, that's not, a lot of instability to work with. About 300 instability out there. I do want to go back to Gracious Day. I can't find this one here. I want to go back to their outlook. Yeah, the potential for severe thunderstorm development remains generally low through the early and middle portion of next week. Yeah. Can't disagree there. I'm not going to disagree at all. So this is a sounding for day 3 here. This is what warranted them to issue a risk for isolated wind gust, damaging wind gust and small hail. I mean, it really looks like much of the same as our other sounding, except for this one has a higher cape. It's not really much of the same. There's a lot different here. This has a bit higher wind shear. This has lower instability, higher capping, lower moisture. So, yeah, I mean, both of these aren't favorable for severe weather. I'm literally looking for just the potential for like small hail. That's what I'm looking for in this. We're not really going to be seeing anything, or we shouldn't see anything crazy out of this very very low end setup. It is not a good setup at all. But I'm looking for anything. Okay, I'm starved of severe weather coverage over here. I'm starved of severe weather coverage. I wasn't here during Milton, so I couldn't cover that historic outbreak in Florida, which I think they've confirmed like what was it? I think it was 26 tornadoes they confirmed from a particular day. I don't know what day Milton had made that tornado outbreak in Florida. I'm trying to think of the day. I don't remember what day it was, but yeah, I think that's like the most tornadoes that has ever happened in Florida in a 24-hour time frame. But yeah, just to review this, just in case we may have anybody worried about severe weather, this is not going to be a big event, okay? I saw that on Twitter that this could be a big severe weather event. It will not be. I can tell you flat out, it won't be a big severe weather event. Now, will we have some wind gusts up to 60 and small hail? Probably. It's impossible for me to know the exact future, but the setup we have at hand here, it's something I would chase. I literally chased a rain shower the other day. I don't think I shared it on Twitter, but there was legit a rain shower that went through, and the thing had a shelf. It had a shelf cloud on it, so I would literally chase absolutely anything. And this, I mean, it's you're gonna have a small risk for hail and a small risk for damaging winds. I didn't check really for that tornado threat. I'm sure that tornado threat won't be that high, like, at all. Let me go look at this here. I really doubt we'll see a tornado threat with this. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything is really pointing towards a tornado threat. Yes, Ben, EF3. That was the highest rating from tornadoes Milton spawned. So I really don't see a need for concern for this upcoming trough ejection here. I will say, though, I mean, if we had this set up in, like, May or April, it would be a completely different tone in the community because, if you get a negatively tilted trough like that, I mean, that is a classic sign, or almost classic sign, for severe weather to occur in the U.S. This would cause severe weather probably in this area here and then in this area here if we were in May, just based on the timing of the trough as well as the orientation of the trough. But in this case, it's just going to be rain. I mean, you can see it here on the GFS. It's just going to be mainly rain for you guys out there in New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas. Nebraska, you're really just going to see rain. And of course, like I said, and like the SPC said as well, we could see some gusty winds, small hail over here. And they haven't said anything about out here in Oklahoma, Kansas, or Texas, so I won't say much of the risk. But if we do manage to see anything, it's probably going to be very low end. Yeah, another big thing is, of course, if we go to your moisture here, like I said, in April or May, I mean, gracious day, in April or May, these 60, 70 degree dew points, they'd probably be way up here into Nebraska with this type of trough ejection. But because we're in October, I mean, your 60 degree dew points, what do they get? They get all the way up to South Central Texas at the furthest here. I mean, it cuts it off so well too. So we never really get that solid opportunity for like notable severe weather. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it though. I definitely would be watching it. I do want to go back to the SPC site here for this though, because I know a lot of people can get this confused. So there's 4 steps that the SPC takes when issuing outlooks on the day 4 through 8 outlook. I may have confused some people on saying that before earlier today on the stream, but so the least worrying one is potential too low. What that means is the severe weather threat is low. That's it. The next step would be saying predictability is too low. That means the potential's there. We could have severe weather, but the location is uncertain. And then the next step is, of course, your 15% chance for severe weather, which typically is very honestly pretty rare. If you see a 15% chance in October, it's definitely not unheard of, but it is rare. And then, of course, you have your 30% chance for severe weather every 25 miles of given point, and that is very rare in October. So yeah, those are your 4 steps. Basically, we're really on step 1 here, which is potential too low, and I don't think we'll get to step 2. I say that because I really don't see a severe weather pattern in this. I mean, we have a high pressure to the east. I mean, literally, like, this is definitely a severe weather setup. It's just the time of the year is not going to favor much severe weather with it. I pointed that out in the live stream from like 5-ish days ago with the pattern we were going into where we have, let me show you this, where we have, a big area of above average temperatures, and then we had a big area of below average temperatures out here. Below average temperatures in the west signal the potential for a trough. And then, of course, above average in the U.S., it could be literally anything. It could be a high pressure, or it could just simply be higher temperatures. So yeah, just gonna keep an eye on these weather outlooks, of course, from the CPC. And you can see like this here. You see this here. I mean, we have above average temperatures. We have below average temperatures over here, but those aren't really too far south. And then above average precip over here. So if we go back to the GFS model run, 12Z, I guarantee you're going to see another trough or something swing through from the time frame of October 24th to the 30th. Let's see if we see anything. Oh, I can already see it. I can already see it. Look at these. You can see these little shortwave troughs in here. There's your remnant trough ejection that we're dealing with now, of course. That will be remnant on the 24th or so. And you can see all these little kinks in the jet stream. Those are little tiny short waves. However, guess what? They are all positively tilted, which means very little to barely any threat for severe weather. Because if we switch to your instability, wait for it, none. No instability, because they are positive short waves. So they're not able to pull up any of that instability, any of the dew points, any of the favorable ingredients to cause severe weather. Let me go right back over to this one. Took me a second to find it. But yeah, I mean, it's going to bring some rain. Just no severe weather. At least for the systems from October 23rd and to the 30th or so, it looks like it's just going to be rain. But yeah, I'll definitely be watching this. It's the first potential for severe weather we've had outside of tropical systems in the US in quite a while. It feels like almost a month, but it was probably a lot less than that since we've had a good trough come through. But thankfully, this trough won't be pulling up enough dew points and instability to be something of like big concern. How the Mayfield tornado happened in December? Well, it was just a combination of perfect ingredients. It's not unheard of, that is for sure. But Mayfield was definitely, in the sense of the magnitude Mayfield was and the duration it tracked, was definitely nearly unheard of for December. And the widespread outbreak too. I mean, geez, you got to think December 10th and then December 15th. And I mean, both of those in 2021 were big outbreaks. It wasn't like, one or two states. I mean, we had tornadoes from like Illinois down to Mississippi on December 10th, if not more than that. And then for December 15th, that was a massive derecho. So, yeah, it was just a combination of perfect ingredients. I didn't look at the trough, but I'm sure it was a negatively tilted trough. Let's see. Let's see if I can find some analogs for the trough ejection here. Or not analogs, but just screenshots of the trough. That was like one of the first outbreaks that I really tracked on this channel for hours on end. I mean, we were here for 10 hours tracking that outbreak. Yeah, maybe I'll look for that more, but it was really just a perfect environment. It's really a setup you'd see in like May or April. I think that's due to how warm that December was. Probably that as well. Every month varies completely, and like December every single year is not going to be the exact same. Some Decembers are going to be extremely, extremely cooler than average. For instance, we had what was it, the 2022 cold front? That one that brought a ridiculously large area of historic cold weather to the U.S. And then, of course, we had what you were mentioning there, Ben, December 2021, which was warmer than average, at least for some days of that month. So I don't know. It just depends. It just really depends. But let me see here. Out of curiosity, what area of the U.S. have you noticed rarely even has severe weather? Uh, like what area may have the least severe weather? The area I've probably seen with like the least severe weather is Oregon. Oregon, I've seen quite a bit of severe weather in Washington, but probably like maybe like Eastern Oregon or Western Oregon, one or the other. That's probably the two areas that I really haven't seen much severe weather. I have seen one area in Oregon. Yeah, this area in Oregon. I have seen severe weather in this region of Oregon before, so it'd either be like the western side or the eastern side of Oregon that I've rarely seen severe weather. I've seen a lot of severe weather, believe it or not, in Idaho, Washington, um, Montana. Not a lot in Washington, but a lot in Montana, a lot in Idaho. Uh, I'm trying to think of anything notable for Cali. Why do we have a... Oh, it's a blizzard warning. So, yeah, I would probably go with like Eastern Oregon, honestly. I'd go with this area. I feel like Western Oregon, we've probably had isolated severe weather thanks to atmospheric rivers. But Eastern Oregon, I just haven't heard of severe weather in that area. I've seen severe weather in Alaska. It's just not common, but I have seen severe weather in Alaska. I can't recall even a single warning in Eastern Oregon. But then again, I mean, I haven't tracked weather too long. Oh yeah, Tyler. I mean, Louisiana has been. You guys have been pounded by severe weather, and tropical systems too. I'm. Oh yeah, Beryl. I was trying to think of the main tropical system that hit you. It was Beryl. Beryl spawned like 50 plus tornadoes in western Louisiana. And then you had countless amounts of severe weather events and countless amount of big wind events. I mean, you guys had some big time wind bags out there this year. A lot of damaging winds. I want to bring you guys back on over to this scene. Bring y'all over to, I'm going to close this all out. There we go. So this is the CPC. Really, we're not looking at a favorable pattern for anything in the U.S. Other than some normal weather, normal weather. You're going to see these pattern flips where you're really warm a couple days of this week and then cooler the next week. I mean, for the next 3 days out here in the eastern U.S., we're literally freezing out here. We're almost at the freezing point for tomorrow morning. Next week, we're going to be right back up into the 80s. And next week, I mean, we're also going to have barely any rain, too. I mean, we're probably getting right back into our big drought out here in Virginia, North Carolina. We've had some spotty showers, like the one I chased yesterday, tiny little rain shower. But I think we're going to be right back into a drought here in 2 weeks in Virginia. Doesn't look like much rain is going to be on the way here in the East Coast. And there's really nothing concerning developing in this weather pattern. Like, there's nothing that raises my alarm. Nothing looks like a favorable pattern for severe weather yet. Like I said, we do have this trough that's coming through, but honestly, because of the time of year it's coming through and when it's coming through as well, it's just not going to favor much severe weather. Maybe we'll see a couple severe storms for small inch hail and small inch hail. What the heck? Small hail and gusty winds, but I don't think we'll see much at all. You can see if we look at the temperature hazards, nothing precipitation, nothing snow, nothing wind, nothing. There's nothing to talk about. There's going to be nothing to talk about in the U.S. for the next 2 weeks or so. Maybe 2 weeks is a bit of an over-exaggeration, but at least the next week. At the minimum. We're really just going to be watching out here in the Dominican Republic and Haiti for the potential of a tropical system to hit you guys. In terms of intensity and impact, no idea at all. Some models show this, like I showed just earlier. Most of our models show this being like a mid to high end tropical storm. So I definitely would be watching this area of interest if you live in Haiti or the Dominican Republic, as it could head y'all's way. But it won't be anything massive. I could tell you that because the pattern doesn't favor anything big. We're not dealing with like the open Gulf of Mexico waters in a no shear, no dry air environment. I mean, you can see that on your latest GFS model, and I mean, it's hard to even pick out the tropical wave on this. So, we'll keep an eye on it. I do still think we could see a brief tropical storm spin up out of this wave here. I wouldn't fully rule out a spin up tropical storm here either, like a last second tropical storm or depression before it makes landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula around the morning of October 19th. But I highly doubt it will be anything notable in terms of wind. Your main threat out there in the Yucatan Peninsula, regardless of if it becomes a tropical storm, is going to be flooding. So flooding in the Yucatan Peninsula, keeping an eye on the Dominican Republic for a tropical system to form and potentially impact you guys, both of which have a low chance to develop into a tropical storm. In terms of severe weather, like I said, let me go ahead and bring up model runs here. I'll bring up your GFS 12Z 500 millibar height. Show you this. So in terms of severe weather, it's definitely going to be minimal. But if I pull this all the way out, you can see here We're going to have this trough that swings through into New Mexico. That could bring the potential for some isolated small hail, isolated damaging winds out there in eastern New Mexico. And then as we go into Saturday, we'll probably see barely anything happen on Saturday. So Friday could see some isolated severe weather. Saturday, probably next to nothing. And then Sunday, we could see some isolated severe weather spark up as that trough ejection tilts completely negative, allowing for a little bit of moisture and a little bit of instability from the Gulf of Mexico to get up towards the panhandle of Texas, and could cause some severe weather, but it won't be anything widespread. It won't be anything significant, but still worth just keeping an eye on, just in case. And then after Sunday, it's going to move up to the northeast on Monday, then into Tuesday. Wednesday, it's going to move into Virginia and get out of here Wednesday night into Thursday, where we will go right back into this dominant high-pressure pattern. And, I mean, according to the GFS, that doesn't break down for weeks. Like, literally 2 weeks, we have a dominant high pressure in place all the way until freaking November. So... not really much of a severe weather side of things. It doesn't look like we'll see severe weather out there. I was looking at temperatures really quick on the GFS far out, because you see this big Radar Omega. You okay? I think I bugged Radar Omega. Okay, there we go. I guess you could call this a massive trough. What would you even call that? That is just a ridiculously, I mean, I guess it's a trough. Yeah, I guess it's just a very large elongated trough, because the main trough is up here. You could see the pinpoint here. So that's your main trough ejection, but it's very... Oh, and I bet you have a high pressure somewhere out here. I can't tell where, but just a really elongated trough ejection. If this did happen, which it will not, that's how you get a lot of cold weather in the U.S. Oh, yeah. That's how you get cold weather into the United States right there. You can see the cold front here pushing through. So... Don't expect that to happen, but that's just how you end up with cold weather in the United States. Typically not from such a large trough, though. I mean, that's a very large, elongated trough. It's not... that's not something I see every day on the GFS model. A very long, very, very long, elongated trough like that. So you always see these troughs on the GFS, right? But one that's that long, I mean, dude, that goes from... Look at that. That goes from southwest of Alaska all the way up to... I don't even know this part of Canada. I don't even know if that is Canada. I think that's far northern Quebec. Yeah. Extremely far northern Quebec. Let's see if we've seen that. I mean, I just haven't... I haven't seen something like that on the GFS in a while. I've seen it before, probably earlier this year, but that's a big trough. That's a big trough. 4,300 miles from southwest to northeast. That's a big trough ejection right there. The good news is, like I said, even if that were to happen, I mean, it's just going to bring cold weather. It won't bring severe weather. If we look at your instability, you do get some instability up, but yeah, you're not really going to be dealing with any severe weather. But the good news is this is 384 hours out. So we can know for a fact that it's not going to happen. It won't happen. I just look at this for fun. And, you know, weather's really inactive when the GFS doesn't have like a big severe weather event or a big hurricane at the end of its model run. I mean, if we go through your GFS model run here, there's no big hurricane or anything in sight on your GFS. And if we go to your 500 millibar heights, we already went to this, but there's no big negatively tilted trough ejection. We have this big elongated trough, but not a solid trough ejection like the one we're going to see, over the next 5 days out here in the Four Corners area. That probably won't result in much severe weather thanks to instability and dew points being limited. So mainly inactive weather across the U.S. I mean, like I said, we're in a dominant high pressure right now. That's going to get out of here with this trough. Then after this trough, we're going to see another high pressure that builds in. Then after that high pressure, well, we're too far out to know what's going to happen after that high pressure. And because we're having all these troughs and high pressures into the southern side of the U.S., that's going to close the Gulf of Mexico for business here over the next couple weeks. So we're probably near. Well, we still have November left, but I wonder if we're gonna be able to squeeze out a tropical system in November. I'm really intrigued to see what happens in a month from now. See what weather pattern we're in. Because right now, I mean, this is a good sign for inactive weather. Unfortunately, we do have this trough that's pulling through. That's going to bring, like I said, low and severe weather. But other than that, I mean, we're going to be inactive. And in terms for snow, I mean, the only area that's going to be seeing snow anytime soon is going to be Canada and the Pacific Northwest in the mountains. So, yeah, I'm going to take this time to work on something. Me and Lucky have planned in the background for you guys. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say much. If Lucky wants to do that, he'll do it. But, yeah, I mean, there's nothing to make a video on, and there's probably going to be near nothing to live stream, so, I might end up live streaming, later on in terms of, what this system may do, but, I can't tell you when. I can't tell you when I will be live or, live next or have a video out. I do want to try to do something, we have an inactive phase over the next week or two, so I would love to do like a tutorial on a website like Tropical Tidbits or College Dew page or a radar tutorial. Again, just something to fill that gap with all this inactive weather that we should hopefully see over the next 2 weeks. Inactive weather patterns never last. They never last. Something's gonna pop up at the end of October or the beginning of November. What it will be, I don't know, but inactive patterns will never last. That's why it's always that's why we're always live. That's why we're always live, always here updating you guys. Because there's never a full, 3 months without any weather. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. I'd love to answer them. Like I said, to reiterate everything, isolated severe thunderstorms will be possible mainly on Friday and Sunday out in this general vicinity here. That's New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas. We could see a spin-up tropical storm here in the southeastern side of the Yucatan Peninsula, but that's unlikely regardless of if it does happen or not. We're going to see heavy rainfall in the Yucatan Peninsula. We're going to still keep an eye on this AOI out here in the Caribbean, in the western main development region. That's going to most likely move westward and then eventually southwestward. It could develop into a tropical storm somewhere in this general vicinity here as we go towards Saturday or so. But the chance of it forming is getting lower and lower. Models have continued to downtrend. They're staying on the lower side of things. So I would not anticipate us seeing a tropical storm out of either one of these AOIs. But it's still possible, which is why I was talking about it. How to read model runs. I think people can read model runs. It's just the issue of actually being able to determine the flaws of our model runs. But what do you mean? Make a tutorial on how to forecast weather or something with models? That's my job. That's my job. If you guys look at that, you might end up panicking. I say that because the things we see on model runs, man. That's my job to look at the end of the GFS model run and then toss it in the trash can. I mean, here's a really good way to here's a really good way to read model runs. Do not take anything you see on the model runs seriously. There you go. Don't take a single thing on those model runs seriously. You should always go to the National Weather Service, the National Hurricane Center, Weather Prediction Center, your local NWS. They do all of that for you. The NWS legit goes through a bunch of models and they give you the most likely outcome. They forecast it on an hourly basis most of the time. I mean, almost every hour they're giving you guys updates. You know, if there's any warnings or watches that need to be issued, they'll issue them. So it's best just not to look at model runs. I mean, it really is. You should just really listen to your local officials and the official weather government branches, like I said, you know, WPC, CPC, SPC, NWS, the whole alphabet. The whole alphabet. Let's see. That's probably a good idea, Caleb. I mean, we have... I don't think I've ever... I don't think I have a command that leads to links for the official websites, but that is a good idea. Maybe I'll end up doing that. But, yeah, I'm probably gonna head off here very soon. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this live stream. Greatly appreciated. Just a reminder, don't take anything you see on model run seriously. Remember that one. Model runs are wrong. Every single model you see has been wrong before and will continue to be wrong. It's just some of our model runs have been lucky enough to nail certain features and systems. But models will always be, they'll always be somewhat inaccurate. So for the best information and the most accurate information, just visit your local National Weather Service. You could visit to the NHC as well, nhc.noaa.gov. The SPC is spc.noaa.gov. And those are your two main weather branches. But you could also look at the WPC, which is, you'll never guess it. You'll never guess it. WPC.noaa.gov. CPC is going to be, I believe CPC.noaa.gov. I mean, it's all the same. It's all the same there. So, yeah, that is going to be about it. And we're going to start wrapping up here. Like I said, if you have any more questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them before we head off. Just another main rundown. There's no concern for severe weather. We could have the potential for some isolated small hail and gusty winds in New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Friday as well as Sunday. The main area I personally am going to be watching, like I said earlier, is going to be the Dominican Republic and Haiti for this tropical system that's going to try to track y'all's way Saturday, Sunday or so. And like I said, also going to see some flooding here in the Yucatan Peninsula. I think that's really it. Very small events. Localized flooding, the potential for a low-end tropical storm, and a low-end severe weather event. Everything's low-end. There's nothing that's like, you know, we don't have anything crazy happening. Which feels very weird for 2024. Very, very weird. So, yeah. That's going to be about it, y'all. Like I said, me and Lucky are going to be working on a few things in the background. So, even though I'm not live streaming, I'm still going to have things going on and, in the background, working on some things. Hopefully I'll be able to not give up on those. Me and Lucky tried it 3 years ago, and we'll see if it works out this time. And yeah, also should try to add some more Nightbot commands. I don't know. I don't know, Haley. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing for the rest of the night. I'm probably gonna end up geez, I don't even know. There's nothing I need to wait for. I don't need to really wait for any new model runs because they're not going to be showing anything concerning anytime soon. I don't know what I'm going to do. I stream a game. I haven't played Outbreak in a while. I have not played Outbreak in a while. I don't know. Maybe we'll end up playing some Outbreak. I haven't played that in a long time. Maybe we'll end up doing a gaming stream tonight. I can't, I don't want to promise it. I don't want to promise it, but yeah, that's going to be it for this live stream. I appreciate you guys tuning in. So there's no tornado risk at the moment from the SPC or the National Weather Service. We're still going to keep an eye on it just in case that ends up changing, but we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't look like a tornado threat at the moment. And if we do end up with a tornado threat, it's going to be extremely minimal. We're not going to end up with a big threat for tornadoes anytime soon. I could tell you that. So, yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, mods from on chat. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I will see you guys whenever my next live stream or video will be, which I can't promise when that will be. I'll just be here when I'm here next time. So, whenever the weather gets active, you know I'm going to be here. Unless something's happening, like I plan a very poor time break. And that's going to be it. The gaming channel, like I mentioned a long time ago, once we get into these inactive phases for weather and we get into winter, it's more common for me to do live streams on the gaming channel. So I'm sure you guys know the gaming channel by now. If you don't, it's simply TRG Tornado. You can find it at the homepage on this channel. And I'll catch you guys whenever I'm live next. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I got 20 more seconds to keep on talking here, and then I could start the outro music. So that is going to be it. I'm going to probably go play some Outbreak myself. We'll see if I end up streaming it or not. I have no idea, but stay safe. Watch severe weather in the tropics. I will see you guys whenever I am live next. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye. Stay safe, watch severe weather in the tropics. I'll see you guys whenever my next live stream or video is. Have a great rest of your night. Good.